Welcome, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our speaker series. Today, we have a very special guest we'll be introducing momentarily. The Right to Believe speaker series is produced now from the Asia region. I am your host, Howard Self, and I have the pleasure to serve as the president of Right to Believe. Right to Believe is a not-for-profit organization based in the United States of America. Our mission is to uphold the fundamental rights of religious freedom for all. We represent tens of thousands of individuals and organizations who are fighting to protect the right to believe in one's religion without undue governmental interference. Religious freedom is a fundamental human right, a critical keystone for any prosperous society. The theme for this series is, quote, "We are all God's children together. Together we will protect our right to believe," unquote. This speaker series is featuring spiritual leaders, educators, civil activists, and government officials from around the world, speaking on various topics related to religious freedom. Today, we are joined by my good friends, Dr. Michael Zablan from the Philippines and Dr. Kishore Rajhandari from Nepal, who will serve as commentators. Both are very strong advocates for religious freedom. I would like now to ask Dr. Zablan to introduce today's guest. Dr. Zablan.
Michael, you are muted.
Muted.
It is my honor and privilege to introduce our guest speaker for tonight's Right to Believe speaker series, who is coming from the Philippines, Professor Dr. Samuel M. Salvador. He serves as the Chancellor of the Royal Institution of Singapore since 2015 to the present time, and at the same time, a member of the Board of Directors of the institution. He is a member of the Board of Trustees of San Pedro City Polytechnic College from 2016 up to the present, and the Centenary President of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines from 2003 to 2005, and he is responsible for the world record-breaking Human Rainbow, certified by no less than the World Record of Guinness, gathering more than 20,000 students to organize this Human Rainbow. He served as the longest term Vice President for Academic Affairs of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines from 1993 to 2015, that during those period, the university gained its 4th level rank. Vice President for Student Service and External Affairs, concurrent capacity of the Polytechnic University of the Philippines from 1992 to 1994. Vice President for Branches and External Services of PUP from 1990 to 1992. Assistant Vice President and Head Branches of the university from 1989 to 1990, and Vice Chairman of PUP Board of Regents from 2003 to 2005. Chairman and member of the Commission on Higher Education for Technical Panel for Distance Education, Transnational Education, Diploma Program from 2000 to 2015. Member of the Board of Governors of Alma Crest International College, Kota Kinabalu, Sabah 2015 to 2016. And he serves as a consultant of St. Therese School in Caloocan. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you our guest speaker for tonight, Dr. Samuel M. Salvador.
Thank you, Dr. Zablan, for introducing our most qualified speaker. A most hearty welcome, Dr. Salvador.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction.
Before I turn our attention to you for our first question, let me give a little bit of background for our discussion today. The founding fathers here in America knew that religion played a significant role in creating the moral fiber of our society. They never imagined that religion could be taken away from the public sphere. John Adams, one of America's founding fathers and early presidents, once said, quote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other," unquote. Fundamental to a working democracy, therefore, is a moral people. That is why religion has always been considered a very important part of America's foundation. Originally, many higher education institutions here in the United States were established by religions. These educational facilities were created with the intention to prepare students, young people, to better serve God and better serve humanity. Columbia University's motto, for example, is in Latin, "In lumine tuo videbimus lumen," which means, "In thy light we shall see light," unquote. And it's quoting from the book of Psalms. The University of Pennsylvania has the motto, "Leges sine moribus vanae," which means laws without morals are useless. Dr. Salvador, as the chancellor of a major university and former president of another, can you share your thoughts about the original responsibility that higher educational institutions have today in raising a moral citizenry?
Thank you very much for your nice introduction. The President of the Right to Believe, Honorable Dr. Howard Self, Dr. Kishore Rabhandari, a well-known leader in Nepal, Dr. Michael Sablan, Chairman Organizing Committee of Asia Right to Believe Olympiad. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning in USA and good evening in Asia, especially in the Philippines and Singapore. Firstly, I wish to express my profound gratitude for inviting me as resource speaker in this noble and glorious undertaking. As an educator, I believe that education is the cornerstone of freedom, because education is a systematic process through which an individual acquires knowledge, experiences, skill, and sound attitude. It makes an individual civilized and socialized, refined, cultured, and educated. For a civilized and socialized society, education is the only means. Its goal is to make individual well-rounded. Every society or government gives importance to education because it is a solution for all evils. It is the key to solve the various problems of life. Education has been described as a process of waking up to life. Waking up to life and its mysteries in solvable problems and the ways to solve the problems and celebrate the mysteries of life. Waking up to the interdependencies of all things, to the threat to our global village, to the power within the human race, to create alternatives to the obstacles entrenched in economic, social, and political structure that prevent our waking up. Education is the broadest sense of the term, is meant to aid the human being in his pursuit of wholeness. Wholeness implies the harmonious development of all potentialities God has given to human being. True education is the harmonious development of the physical, mental, moral, or spiritual and social faculties, the four dimensions of life for a life of dedicated service. According to John Locke, and I said, and I quote, plants are developed by cultivation and man is developed by education, unquote. This world would have been enveloped in intellectual darkness if it had not been illuminated by the light of education. It is safe to say that the story of civilization is the story of education. Thus, education is an integral part of human life. It is the basic condition for a development of a whole man and vital instrument for the growth and development of society. The nature of education are: education is a lifelong process. Education is a systematic process. Education is development of individual and the society. Education is modification of behavior. Education is purposive. Education is training. Education is instruction and direction. Education is continuous reconstruction of our experiences. Education helps in individual adjustment. Education is balanced development. Education is dynamic process. Education is bipolar process. Education is a three-dimensional process, and education as growth. The end of growth is more growth, and the end of education is more education. And according to John Dewey, and I quote, an individual is a changing and growing personality, unquote. The purpose of education is to facilitate the process of his growth. Therefore, the role of education is countless for a perfect society and nation to bring holistic happiness and propriety to its individuals or citizenry. According to James Ross, and I quote, the aim of education is the development of valuable personality and spiritual individuality. Henceforth, the true aim of education cannot be other than the highest development of the individual as a member of society. Let education burn the individual flames, feeding it with the oil of society. Education can liberate or save an individual from the quagmire of poverty and ignorance. Education is the greatest equalizer between the rich and the poor, and education lays out the foundation of freedom, freedom of one, freedom of speech, freedom of religion or belief, and freedom of the press. Thank you, and
Thank
God
you,
bless
Doctor.
you.
I feel like we just went through one high-level course of instruction at a
Yes.
high-level university.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also love that premise that the higher education institutions are raising youth for God and country. Dr. Zablan, you are also a professor, but you also ran many student movements over the years. Could you add to Dr. Salvador's comments on education?
Education in the Philippines actually is giving us freedom of speech, freedom of in our faith, and basically basic human rights are 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 well upheld in this country. And majority of almost all the students, particularly in my university, the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, they are strong advocate of this uh, human rights provided by the government and provided by education. And Dr. Salvador has served as a vice president for academic affairs for many years in PUP, and he is a witness of daily expression of this freedom inside the campus. Sometimes the youth would even go around the classrooms and express their freedom of speeches. And the university allowed these things. And also, I work in a certain youth organization. We are allowed even to teach in using the classrooms and using the school facilities to express our freedom of faith. So there are a lot of Bible studies going on in the campus, and even allowed to use the school facilities like theaters and auditorium and conference rooms. So there's really so much when it comes to protection of religious freedom and provided by education and the government in the Philippines.
Certainly, the Philippines is a warm and welcoming environment for practicing religious freedom. Thank you very much. Dr. Kishore, Nepal may be a different situation, of course, from the Philippines and many other countries. Would you share your thoughts on the role of education in your nation?
Thank you, President Howard Self. I like Dr. Salvador saying that education should should be for the holistic development, holistic well-being. This is very well quoted. Actually, core philosophy of life is living for the sake of others, and nature, as well as the universal principle, which we say in Nepali, Sanskrit, Sanatan principle. They also prove that the philosophy of life is living for the sake of others. We give priority in education the knowledge and skill, but according to our understanding in the Hinduism or Hindu culture, let's say, there should be much higher purpose of education than just knowledge and skill. For example, human relationship, we can call it social norms. It should be very much emphasized in the education. For example, somebody has good knowledge and skill, but he's not diligent. What's the use of that skill and knowledge? If the person is motivated to do something bad for the humanity, what is use of that knowledge and skill? That's why social norms. At the same time, we can say that sacrifice and also dedication, passion, and distinguishing the bad and good, all these things, we can call it as the coming from the heart. This should be in the education. That's why in the old age, ancient time, let's say ancient time, we had not formal school like what we have now. There was called it Gurukul, means the Rishi, Maharishi, saint, they have certain premises in the jungle, and the students would go to his house and stay there and learn the life. I think that time people were learning not only knowledge and skill, but at the same time social norms, and also the education of heart. This is the basis of education that we have to give, or institution has to give, and that's way we can impart higher ideals to the students that they study. I think, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kishore. Certainly, the education of the individual learning about his own rights for religious worship, etc., are very, very key for developing an individual. Also, we usually consider a highly educated person to be someone who is religiously tolerant to people of other faiths. This seems to be also very important for a well-lived society where people feel the freedom and are not persecuted for their faith. That also seems to be an important element of higher education. Dr. Salvador, would you express your thoughts about that, the importance of tolerance?
We are lucky in our country. Higher education is always giving emphasis on liberal education. It is not only technical know-how, it is not only about outcomes, skills, and technical abilities, but also students in higher education must learn liberal education to become humanize education, to understand the importance of human being and its impact to society. That's why we have a balanced curriculum in all programs, in all degree programs offered in all higher institution of learning in the Philippines. There are many liberal subjects that enrich the development of heart and the development of spiritual conditions of an individual. It is not only high tech, but it's also high touch. Yeah.
Very good.
At the beginning, Sir Howard mentioned about the virtues being promoted by universities in America. And when I had a short discussion with one of the staff, I was very surprised because in the Philippines, Dr. Salvador, we usually promote virtues like faith in God, country, and God, freedom and faith in God. These are basically the basic virtues that universities in the Philippines are promoting. But Sir Howard mentioned some of this that they have in America, and I was surprised that it's different, exactly opposite of what we do in the Philippines. What virtue do we promote in a PUP, Doc?
In PUP, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, we always begin our official functions, official programs and activities with prayers, opening prayers and closing prayers. And it is usually ecumenical. If there are Muslims or Islam, there are Hindus or Buddhists, they will join together and pray because we believe that great religions of the world have the same purpose. They talk about love, they talk about peace, they talk about charity. And these are the things that must be inculcated into the minds and hearts of a human being so that human beings like us can appreciate that we are the exact duplicate, or we were created from the image of God. So if we believe that we are created in the image of God, irrespective of religions you have to love your own fellow man, and you have to respect the existence of every individual. But that's why my belief is that you can never take away that right of belief. because that belief is a sacred right of an individual, because that individual was created from the image of God. And in fact, combining even the wealth of all kings of the world is not even enough to ransom the life of an individual. That is how important life is. And that life is, that freedom of belief can be enjoyed when you are fully educated.
Mm.
You can never appreciate freedom, your rights, if you are not educated. That's why in the Philippines, we try our best, no matter how lacking our budget for education sometimes, but teachers are really devoted to inculcate the values of the right to believe and the right of freedom and the right to exist as a human being with dignity and pride. So we always consider that a university like the Polytechnic University of the Philippines and all other universities in the Philippines, they are all markets of ideas. It is a market of ideas. They are free to expose their beliefs.
Yes.
After all, it is enshrined in our Constitution. And for every democratic form of government, for that matter, they believe in the existence of God. That's why even United States of America, there is "In God We Trust" in all the bills
Yes.
of America. In God we trust. So there is no reason why America should back out from their belief to God.
Yes.
And I suppose Americans are a strong believer to their faith, and they are true to their faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Zablan, as Dr. Salvador mentioned, the university is like a marketplace of ideas. So many students may come from one faith, they grew up with that faith, but when they come to that marketplace, they may encounter many others. And it's important that they learn to respect and be tolerant for those other faiths. Would you express your thoughts about that idea? How is that in?
Thank you for that question, Sir Howard. So
Yes,
far,
sir.
as far as I have been teaching in university, we did not encounter serious conflict of students of different uh, background of faith and belief. But I would like to go back to Dr. Salvador when he mentioned that right to believe is a basic and a sacred gift from God. Dr. Salvador, do you think, although this may not be in line of your chosen field of your profession, do you think that a court should decide in a schism like between the Sunnis and the Shiites? They have a different perspective on their belief when it comes to Islamic faith. So do you think a court should decide which group has the right, has the correct understanding of their faith?
Well, when we talk of faith, it is full respect of individual. If that is the faith of an individual, we have to respect that. For as long that that individual is through to his faith under the principle of love, peace, charity, and humane understanding and protection the rights of others and himself, then there is no reason why government or any organization will have the right to interfere. You know, we have to respect that right for as long that it is in accordance with the teaching of God, which is love, charity, and is what we call peace. And all religions advocates this kind of teaching. So what is the role of the government coming in to any organization for as long as that organization or that religion does not violate any law of the land? Now, it will be a
Yes,
very controversial issue if there is a
very, very
clear-cut
important.
violation of the law of the land, then that is another story. But for as long as it is in accordance to faith, to their belief, and their belief is being guided by the cardinal virtues of men, then
Yes,
I think
this is a
it should be
very, very
respected.
important point
Yes.
in America, as you know. By our Constitution, there should be no interference from government, by court, by political side, legislative side, or judicial side. There should be no interference in the practice of religion.
Yes.
And today we're facing some interference from the judiciary, especially in America. We'll get into that more as we go along. But this is a very important point. Thank you, Dr. Zablan, for raising that, and Dr. Salvador for your answer. I'd just like to give Dr. Kishore a chance here. Dr. Kishore, while Hinduism is a majority religion in Nepal, it seems that Nepal has quite a tradition and reputation for religious diversity and tolerance. Would you like to comment about that? Is that a correct assessment?
Yes, I have to admit that in the university and then education system, we don't teach religion actually. We don't talk about God much. There is in the religious institutions and then separate religious school. It is done. It is taught, but in general, this is not the case. But what I have to say is that Nepal is given by God so much diversity, geographical diversity and then climatic diversity. Not only that, ethnic diversity and biodiversity. So many religious diversity. All these has naturally taught Nepalese people that we can live or we should live in diversity. That's why we have a very strong saying that in Sanskrit it's called Atiti Devo Bhava, means guests are our God. This is we teach at home from the beginning. That's why we don't wonder, we don't become surprised when there is somebody with different faith or different costume culture. We are not surprised. We like this. We are more eager to know them. That's why we respect all religion, but we practice our own. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kishore.
Yeah.
It is interesting to have this kind of discussion today because here in America, well-established traditions such as the First Amendment and the constitutional right to religious freedom has been protected throughout the course of this nation. But that seems to be being challenged now. More and more, a movement away from faith to quite a degree. The Founding Fathers established this concept of separation of church and state here. That was designed, I know, to protect the religious people, that the state could not come in and dominate someone's faith or tell them which church they had to belong to or which faith they had to belong to. But now that's interpreted as a different way, that nothing of faith can be involved in the government. So for example, at Christmas time here in America, many times there is a public manger scene for the birth of Jesus. Often these are on public grounds, and recently they have really been challenged by groups and organizations that want to downplay religion. And in many cases in the courts, they have taken away the city or state's right to display these religious things. And it's not only Christian displays, but other faiths as well are being taken away by the court's decisions based on separation of church and state, which seems to be completely against the original intent of the founding fathers. I want to get to our final question today with a little bit of development. And I want to thank Dr. Salvador personally for your support of the Right to Believe campaign. You have known the unification movement for a long time, Dr. Salvador, and you also saw the movement undergo a major schism, now over 10 years old. There is a clear dispute within the unification movement. Dispute even on the life, legacy, the vision, and teachings of Reverend Sun Myung Moon. And currently there's a clear deviation by the Family Federation for World Peace and the Universal Peace Federation and the Global Peace Federation, which Global Peace Foundation, which Dr. Preston Moon founded. And we have seen ourselves that the Family Federation has been even altering the original teachings and changing the very name of the movement and organization. But Dr. Hyunjin Preston Moon did not do that, and he has really stayed on the course of his father's vision and continuing his father's work. But in doing that, he was really attacked, defamed, lied about, and now he is even being sued in a false suit case, a false suit brought to court in Washington, D.C. Dr. Salvador, you were there when the first Global Peace Convention was being formed up in the Philippines in 2009, and you saw a lot of things between Dr. Preston Moon's organization as opposed to the Family Federation. Would you share your thoughts about that time and how you witnessed and how you saw the religious freedom of those under Dr. Hyunjin Moon being really brought under attack and defamed, and any injustice that you personally witnessed at that time?
Well, I was a member of the National Council at that time, and we tried to discuss lengthily with the officers of the National Council. We tried to evaluate the pros and cons, and finally we decided that we will follow the stand and belief of Dr. Hyunjin Moon. That is how simple, yet the impact is so great. Because of that, all the other activities being sponsored by those not within the gamut or leadership of Dr. Hyunjin Moon, we didn't attend all those things. We don't care what they were doing. So we just concentrated and we keep praying that the decision of Hyunjin Moon must prevail upon us through the guidance and clarification of Dr. Michael Sablan. So we heard many things, but we don't mind at all. we we are not being disturbed about what they want to do. If they don't consider us, they don't invite us, it's okay, no problem. Because we have a strong belief, we have decided that whatever be the decision of Dr. Yoon Jin Moon, we will follow it. Because we know that the decision of Yoon Jin Moon is the right decision. After all, during the later part of the struggle, we found out that Yoon Jin Moon, Dr. Yoon Jin Moon, really cling steadfast to the teaching of the true Father. There was no deviation, what so to speak. What is the original teaching of his true Father is being carried on without any condition. So I said to myself, we are right after all. So if you have deviated from the original teaching, any religion for that matter, that means you should get out from the original teaching or get out from that kind of religion. And that is always happening. There are many religions, not only in the Philippines, but the one who tries to deviate from the original teaching will get out from the religion being established by the original. And I suppose that should be carried on by different religions in the world, not only the religion of Dr. Yoon Jin Moon.
And I remember, Dr. Salvador, you were telling me they are the ones who deviated. The Family Federation for World Peace, they are the one who deviated from the original teachings of Reverend Moon. And Yeonjunim is the one who cling steadfastly with the teachings of True Father. And that is why we are not the one who left. They are the one who left. So over and over, you were telling me about that we should declare that we are the, you have some terminology on that, Dr. Salvador?
We are the affirmists. We
The
affirm
affirmists, that's right.
those revisionists, they should go out. Because
Exactly.
see, that is always the case. That is always the case.
Dr. Zablan, you were caught in the middle of that schism. What kind of chicanery did you witness in your own life there?
Kindly repeat the question. The reception is not clear.
Sorry, you were caught in the middle of that schism in 2009, and you witnessed some very unusual things from the Family Federation side. Would you share a few of those?
This is going to be very emotional for me, but
Yeah, I know that.
it was very painful, but particularly for me, who had served the movement for many years. I'm a devout Catholic. I love my religion as a Catholic. And when Reverend Moon, when I heard the teaching of Reverend Moon, the divine principle, it elevated my understanding and my faith in Catholicism. And the more that I come to understand my purpose as a Catholic, and I embrace the teachings of Dr. Sun Myung Moon, the divine principle, and since that time, I devoted my life to follow this path of working as a missionary in many countries of Asia and also in many parts of the Philippines. So it was a devotion for more than 20 years, and suddenly there was a big change, a big shift that completely is unacceptable for me, and it's not easy to digest. Not easy to digest that there's a different direction. When the main teaching of Reverend Moon is to restore the world, build a peaceful world where all people of different faith can live together, embrace together as a family. But then suddenly there was a big shift. And even Dr. Sam Young Moon over and over said, we are not building a new religion, but this is a movement to embrace the people of the world. And eventually, at the all these things turned around, and eventually the emphasis of building religion by Mrs. Hak Jahan Moon and her and the leaders around her, and together with some of her children, they changed completely the direction of Reverend Sam Myung Moon's objective and purpose in organizing the unification movement. And that was not easy for me to accept, because I completely believe that we are all family in this world, regardless of what faith we have. And I am not serving a new religion, because already I'm a devout Catholic. I'm not serving a new religion, but I am elevating in higher states my faith in God, my love in God, my love for my fellow men, for directly serving them. And and that is by making a community which is God-centered. So this time, as mentioned by Dr. Salvador, there is a complete shift, and Dr. Salvador himself talked over and over to me, and I was so grateful to him that for a an educator, a long-time educator, a professional in his chosen field, he had seen a complete change, and he was telling me, you must declare, Michael, you must declare that we are the affirmists and they are the separatists. They are the ones who separated. We are not the one who separated from the original teaching of Reverend Moon. And so we are the affirmists. We must declare that. Over and over, actually, Dr. Salvador was telling me to make that declaration, and even tell Dr. Yeonjun Moon to declare that this is an affirmist movement and we are not the separatist movement. So I would cut short my story on that, because it's going to be a very long story and our time is not enough for that.
Yes, we are very grateful to you for your heartfelt answer, Dr. Sublime. And before I turn to Dr. Salvador to give him one final opportunity to speak, I'd like to ask Dr. Kishore what his experience was like during that particular time when the schism really developed in the unification movement. Dr. Kishore, are you on mute?
Yeah, I would like to
How we hear
say one verse which suggests, in my understanding, what it is. I want to say religious parasitism. I think this is from my opinion, this is the most appropriate terminology that we can use. What is happening in the unification movement? Actually, parasitism, yeah, religious parasitism. I use this word. During 2010, when we were organizing, working for a Global Peace Festival, that time I have discussed with the authority of uh, family faith that you don't disturb. We will not disturb you, and you don't disturb us. This is the agreement that we verbally we made this. And but during the festival time, they did everything possible to disturb our programs. Anyway, our program could happen very smoothly, but there were so many other things happened beside the programs. Now, in 2019, they organized Asia Pacific Summit. And also before that, they organized many other things. We never disturbed them. And also in the Asia Pacific Summit, we didn't disturb actually. But they receive heavy persecution from the media and from political parties and from everywhere. That's why I would like to say that not somebody working against them, but they were working against the universal principle. That's why they suffer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kishore. Yes, the Right to Believe organization was founded out of really outrage about what's going on in the DC court. Now, a 9-year-old case was brought against Dr. Hyunjin Moon and his associates, and the court is turning completely on its head. We know very well, as has been mentioned, that Dr. Hyunjin Moon is really continuing in the vision and course that his father established. But the court announced that that was not the case, and that the opposite was true, and is preparing even now to punish Dr. Preston Moon and his associates in a very, very powerful way. Very, very severe punishments are possible, which is completely outrageous and completely against the truth that we know. That's why we're asking around the world for people to speak out, and that is happening all the time in various ways, and will continue until true justice can be brought in this case. Dr. Salvador, we've come to the end of our time allotment, very close to the end. I would like to give you the last opportunity to share your impression about this particular situation, and what your advice might be to our listeners and viewers. Dr. Salvador.
Thank you very much. What is important perhaps is to come up into a more openly situation to discuss the issues about the things that you made mention, so that it will be ventilated and will be captured by different social media to drumbeat all these things. It is only through empowering people by way of communicating what we want to communicate to them, to transform their belief into a social action. We must see to it that we will be more bold in our campaign for this right to believe. Because if we will stop doing it, or we are half-baked in doing it, then we will not be able to reach more and more people. Our intention should be we reach more and more people trying to express our belief that this belief must be protected and it must not be trampled by any organization or by any government, so to speak.
Amen.
It is that this is the only way by which we can be able to somehow influence decision maker trying to destroy the right to believe if everybody will speak out the truth. After all, the truth will always make us free. And I believe that we are in the side of the truth. So if we are in the side of the truth, you can never put down a good man like Dr. Hyunjin Moon down.
Amen. Amen, Doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Dr. Salvador, as the one who bravely stood up for what was right in 2009 and enabled the global convention to take place there in the Philippines, I pledge to you, we will continue and put the voice out in every way we possibly can. As a matter of fact, all viewers listening now, please join us for a virtual rally on July the 16th. July 16th. There will be further notices sent out to you. We invite you to join that virtual rally. Because of the pandemic, we cannot hold another physical rally, as we have held two at the Washington, D.C. courts. But we will do the virtual rally on July 16th. Please join us at that time. Thank you again, Dr. Salvador. Thank you, Dr. Sablan and Dr. Kishore, for joining us
Sir
today.
Howard, I just want to make some corrections on my introduction because
Please.
I don't want to keep this mistake. Dr. Salvador is serving as consultant of St. Clair of Caloocan City. That's a correction. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for this opportunity.
That was a good job, Dr. Sablan. You got it in right under the buzzer.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Salvador. Thank you, everyone, for such a wonderful discussion today. This will conclude our today's program. If you out there listening and viewing enjoyed this discussion, please click the like and the subscribe buttons. We would love to have you share your thoughts with us on this topic and on future topics. Please use the chat button for that. If you have questions, also you can use the chat button. Our staff will get back to you. We would definitely love to hear from you. Our next speaker series event is next Friday, July the 3rd, and that will feature another important leader from the Philippines. So we look forward to that very much. And if you are interested in knowing more about Right to Believe or would like to join our global efforts, please visit our website at righttobelieve.org, righttobelieve.org. Thank you so much, our panel. God bless you all. God bless everyone. See you at our next event on July 3rd. Good day.
Thank you. Oh, okay na. Nagpunta pala sa, hindi ko alam, nagpunta.
And that's a wrap, folks.